My children thought I was asleep. They spoke freely, honestly, cruelly. What they didn't know was that my grandson's baby monitor was recording everything, and what it captured that night changed my will forever. This is a true story. My name is Ahmed. I am 72 years old. I've lived a full life, one that many would consider successful. I spent my entire life building a business from nothing, a construction company that now leaves its mark across the city skyline. Every long night, every missed holiday, every ounce of sweat was for my children. I wanted to give them the world, to ensure they never face the struggles I did. I have 2 sons, Omar and Kareem, and a daughter, Layla. And then there's my grandson, Own. He is Layla's boy, and from the moment he was born, he was the absolute light of my life. His laughter was the only sound that could truly silence the worries in my mind. Lately, though, something felt wrong. The warmth that once filled our family home had turned into a subtle chill. Conversations would abruptly stop when I entered a room, replaced by awkward silence. The smiles they gave me felt forced, like masks they put on just for me. I started to feel like a guest in my own house, a burden they were politely tolerating. My health had been declining, and my doctor advised complete rest. My room became my sanctuary. Since my little grandson, Ion, often stayed in my room to play. While his mother was busy, we had installed a baby monitor for his safety. No one, least of all me, imagined it would become a silent witness to the truth hidden behind those strained smiles. That night, my body was weak, but my mind was sharp. I wasn't asleep. My eyes were closed, my breathing slow and even, but I was awake, listening to the quiet sounds of the house. I heard soft footsteps approaching my door. It creaked open slowly, a sliver of light cutting through the darkness. They thought I was lost in slumber, deaf to the world, and then they started talking. Their voices were low, hushed whispers in the dark. It was my son, Omar. He won't last much longer, he said, his voice cold and flat. Then I heard Layla, my daughter. We need to make sure the will stays the same. The lawyer said, it's all set. And then another voice, my other son, Kareem. Don't worry, once he's gone, everything is ours. Finally, every word felt like a physical blow, a knife twisting in my chest. This was my family, the children I had raised, the people I loved more than life itself. They laughed. A quiet, muffled laugh that echoed louder than a scream in my silent room. They spoke about my death not with sadness, but as if it were a business deal nearing its closing date. He doesn't understand anything anymore, one of them said dismissively. He just sits there lost in his own world. In that moment, a terrifying realization washed over me. They weren't waiting for my recovery. They weren't praying for me to get better. They were waiting for my end. The love I thought we shared was just an illusion, a performance for the inheritance they felt entitled to. I was no longer a father to them. I was just an obstacle. Just as I felt my heart might break from the weight of this betrayal, a small, innocent voice came through the baby monitor from the other side of the room. It was Ion, who had been sleeping in his small bed. In a sleepy, childlike whisper, he said, "Grandpa, are you awake?" He paused for a moment. "I love you." That one sentence, those 3 simple words, cut through all the darkness and pain. It was a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. It was pure, unconditional love, with no agenda, no ulterior motive. It saved my soul. In that moment of complete despair, my grandson's voice reminded me what truly mattered. When the first rays of sunlight streamed through my window the next morning, my mind was clear. The pain was still there, but it was now forged into a steely resolve. I knew exactly what I had to do. I wasn't driven by anger or revenge. I was driven by truth. I picked up my phone and contacted my lawyer, the same man who had handled my affairs for 30 years. I told him I needed to make an urgent and significant change to my will. A week later, the scene was set. My children, Omar, Kareem, and Layla, sat confidently in my lawyer's plush office. They offered me sympathetic looks, their faces a perfect mask of concern. They smiled at each other, a secret, triumphant smile that they thought I couldn't see. They believed their victory was assured, that the vast fortune I had built was already theirs. My lawyer, Mr. Hassan cleared his throat and began to read from the document in his hands. Speed according to Mr. Ahmed's final will and testament, executed on this date. He paused, letting the tension in the room build. He looked up from the papers, meeting each of their expectant gazers. The majority of the estate, including all business assets and properties, will be placed in a trust for his grandson, Ion, to be managed until he comes of age. He continued, his voice steady. The children, Omar, Kareem and Layla, will receive only the amounts they have rightfully earned as salaried employees of the company. And nothing more. The confident smiles vanished from their faces. Their skin turned pale, a mixture of shock and disbelief. No one spoke. The silence was deafening. For the very first time, they understood the true cost of their greed, the price of their betrayal. Some people spend their lives waiting for an inheritance they feel they are owed. Others give love freely, without expecting anything in return. My story is a painful reminder to never assume someone isn't listening just because their eyes are closed. In the end, it's not money or property that defines our legacy. The love we give and the love we receive. That is the greatest inheritance of all. Thank you for listening.